Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see you all. Good to see you all. We're going to give us a couple more minutes to let a couple more students in, and meanwhile, give you a chance to meet Dieter. So Dieter is one of my kitties, and I figured I'd let him get on my lap rather than have him try to crawl up my leg, which is what he's going to do if I don't let him onto my lap. So, so yeah, feel free to turn your camera on to share your animals. Um, it's always nice to see people's faces. It's I know that when we do these things, it's weird to be doing it to a bunch of black squares. So, if you feel comfortable doing that, we'd love to see you. Um, hopefully you're relaxed and no one's judging you for what you're wearing or anything like that. Let me go shut my door. All right. Laura, do you think we're ready to get going? All righty.
I'd say so. I'll monitor the waiting room to see if anyone gets stuck in there while we're chatting. So,
All right. Super. Thank you very much. And can you all hear me okay? All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to one of our most re our new alumni mentorship career mentorship workshop. So I am Carolyn Kavanaugh Toft. A lot of you know me as Dr. C. I'm a teaching faculty member and director or kind of I'm the area head for our teaching faculty and associate director of the undergraduate programs here in the Department of Psychology. So I am so excited that we have three people here for our program on school psychology and school counseling. So we have Ben Sullivan, we have Jayla Dennis, and we have Kelly Maguire. And so, what I thought I would do is, so for the first, just to give you a sense of what this hour will look like, is for the first probably about half hour, 35 minutes. We've got some questions for them, just kind of general panel questions, just to ask our panelists about their experiences, their pathway, what they like about their jobs, what their jobs entail, their careers entail. And then about 6:30, 6:35, we'll go into breakout rooms. And so each of our panelists will be in a breakout room. And so students can move between the breakout rooms and ask more specific, more detailed questions of our panelists. And then right around 6:55, 6:56 or so, we'll have everybody come back to the main room here just to sort of wind things up. Okay. So I guess what I was going to do is, I've just given I've named you all, but I was wondering if you could do some introductions. And so for each of you to share a little bit about, share your name, what did you major in, what kind of a graduate degree you might have had, and what your current position is. So maybe I'll start with, why don't I start with Kelly?
Okay, my name is Kelly. The kids call me Miss K. I went to ASU to be a teacher, and I graduated with a master's right after that in curriculum instruction. And so for 5 years, I taught, and I taught third through sixth grade and fulfilled some different positions. And then after 5 years, our school counselor left, and so my principal approached me and said, we have this position. It's not a school, it's a school counselor, but we know you're not certified, so what we call it a student advisor, and then you could maybe possibly go back to school and get certified. And then fast forward, I've been there 26 years. I'm still a student advisor. I still do all the jobs probably a student or school counselor would do. But my goal is to eventually get certified. It's a hard when you're working all the time and to get that done. But our school's K through 12, so I service the kindergarten through sixth grade.
Wow. All right. Well, welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Okay. How about Jayla?
Hi, good evening, everybody. So I did my undergraduate degree at ASU in psychology, and then I went straight through and got my graduate degree. It's SSP, so it's just specialist in school psychology. And then now I serve as a school psychologist in elementary schools. So I typically help about like I kids start off with 3-year-olds to fifth graders. And I'm currently in Houston right now.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. And Ben.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see everybody. My name is Ben Sullivan. I am currently the head of the middle school principal at Phoenix Country Day School in Paradise Valley here. Going way back, I started at ASU in 1994, and I grew up in a small town in upstate New York. I was a good golfer. I wanted to chase that dream to become a professional golfer, and I came west to ASU. Found out pretty quick I was in over my head with those aspirations. But I fell in love with psychology and working with kids. I did research with a number of different professors in the psych department. And that was a little bit of a launching pad for me. From ASU, I went to Lehigh University to get my school psych degree, my master's and my EDS. I worked as a preschool psychologist in upstate New York for 5 years, and then a middle school psychologist at Chestnut Ridge Middle School in South Jersey, and then as a high school psychologist at Newton South High School in Boston. And then I got the push from my colleagues and superintendents to go back and become a principal. And my wife and I came back out here to the Valley in 2010. I was the middle school director at Basis Scottsdale, and then have become the head of the middle school here at PCDS for the last, oh, good gracious, 11 years.
Great. Thank you very much. So it sounds like some of, so you've talked a little bit about what you do. Can you tell me a little bit more about the primary focus of your role? And if you feel comfortable, I know Ben, you've talked a little bit about like specifically that you're at PCDS, if you want to talk about, the school that you work at or the district that you're in, and yeah, what is the primary focus of your role?
So
So,
before coming to PCDS, all my experience was in public schools. Basis obviously is a charter school in Arizona here. Here at PCDS, I oversee the middle school, which is grades 5 through 8. I have about 240 kids and about 35 faculty members that I oversee. Our kids are pretty unbelievable. They are handpicked through the admissions process, really good kids, just outstanding human beings. But my role every day is to try to bring joy to their lives and to supervise all the teachers under my charge to make sure that they are inspiring kids as well. In my opinion, at probably the most difficult time in the human lifespan, which is in the middle school years. There's just so much social, cognitive, physical tumult going on. We try to love the kids, care for them, but also challenge them to continue to grow and progress as learners and leaders and in human beings.
all right. All right. How about Kelly? Tell us a little bit about, where you work and what the primary focus is for your job, your role.
Okay, yeah, so we're a charter school, public charter school, and we have in the elementary about 800 kiddos that I work with. And when I was offered the job, I said no, I just want to be a teacher. And my principal said, well, what if you could teach all the kids? And so I get to go in and we call it preventative lessons. So I go in and teach several times a quarter to all the classrooms. And I work on helping to build the school culture. I help with professional development. But then there's all the other things like the scheduling and 504s and all the layers that help that are part of that. And we have a leadership team, so I'm part of the leadership team. So I try to help in any way possible to make our schools safe. But my favorite job is being in the classroom with the kids.
That's great. That's great. And Jayla, how about you?
Yeah, so actually I'm at two public schools, and some of the things that I do on a day-to-day basis, I do a lot of assessment. So I test kids to go into special education, and criteria kind of differs between states, but really I mainly do like autism, ADHD, emotional disabilities, things like that. But we also test for like dyslexia, dysgraphia, different like learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities. And so that's a lot of what I do is the assessments and then attending IEP meetings and helping out with those. I also do, when I have the time, do like consultation between maybe like parents or staff. So they might have questions regarding like a student's behavior intervention plan, or they're like, hey, Johnny, he can't seem to sit still. Do you have any recommendations for him? Things like that. So kind of just some consulting. I also do counseling as well. So I have kids on my counseling caseload, and those are typically kids that I qualify into SPED, and so they end up on my caseload. That's how it works in my school. And so really it's just a balance between that. You know, sometimes we do different things on depending on the day and who needs help. Sometimes we might do like crisis response if the team needs help, or there's different things that we need to do, or crisis response to like my counseling kids. So, but that's kind of the main three things that I do.
Okay. Wow. Well, it sounds like for all of you, I mean, there's definitely so many different things that you're doing in a given day or a given week, right? It seems like you're wearing a lot of different hats, even though there may be a title of principal or school advisor or school psychologist. Um, can you all share your journey, like from your undergraduate studies to your current position, like how you got from being at ASU to being in the position that you're in. So Kelly?
Well, my my family had pushed me to do accounting so I could make a lot of money, and so I was in the College of Business for many, many years and was miserable. However, all of the spreadsheets and all of the tracking and the data have actually helped me with what my job currently. So I do that was kind of a mixed blessing. But I worked on campus at Student Life, and I don't even know if that's still there anymore. And one of my professors kind of took me under her wing and showed me lots of different groups, and I got into the College of Ed, and at the time there was a special program called Teaching for a Diverse Future, and it was a small cohort of like 25 of us, and a lot of our professors weren't actually education majors. They were dancers or scientists or geologists, and I had the best time. And someone on campus shared this school. They said, "Oh, my partner works at this school. It's really great. It's a charter school." And at the time, charter schools had a really bad name. So she said, just go. And so I just went, and I was talking during my interview, and the person said, "Well, what's your ideal school?" So I spewed out all the things that I'd learned in my Teaching for a Diverse Future. And he's like, "Well, you're in the right place." And so I've never left since. So that was my journey.
That's great. That's great. All righty, Jayla.
So for me, when I came into ASU, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just really liked psychology. And then when I got there, I was like, oh, I think I want to be maybe a clinical psychologist. Like I can go to graduate school. And I volunteered for a research lab. And personally, for me, I hated it. And I was like, okay, I need to reevaluate what I want to do because a PhD is mostly research. And so I actually took a psychology pathways class at ASU where we examined like different career options. And that's how I stumbled off of school psychology. Like I've never really heard of it before. And I just started like Googling it, and I was like, oh, I want to work with kids. And this seems like I like the testing piece of it and the assessment and the collaboration. And so I don't know, it was just something that kind of clicked. And then I just started applying around. I went to University of Houston, Clear Lake, and I just started applying around, and then that's how I ended up. And then I graduated, and I just stayed in Texas because I just liked where I live, and that's also where typically the school that you go to is probably where you're going to get licensed in that state. So wherever you go for graduate school is probably somewhere where you want to practice after you graduate too. So just a bit of soul searching, but I eventually found my area and I'm still in it and I still like it. So it's good.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. And it is good to know that it's like, yeah, when you go that you make a lot, it sounds like you made a lot of connections while you were in graduate school
Hmm.
in Texas, and that helped. How about
Yes.
you, Ben? Yeah. Now, how about you, Ben? Because you also have been all over. the country.
Yeah, I've been incredibly fortunate to have some really neat positions and work under psychologists and school administrators that I've just learned a ton from. But I tell you, my time at ASU, I couldn't take enough psych classes. I just devoured everything that was offered. It was just so interesting to me. And then to stumble upon, I did some research with Nancy Eisenberg on social and emotional regulation and just interacting with kids. You kind of fall in love with that. It's similar to what Jayla described, and that kind of becomes your beacon in terms of what you want to do from a career path standpoint. You know, mine took different twists and turns. I've been at all different levels and ultimately got the push to go back and become a school administrator, um, which I love. But the best parts of my day are when I interact with kids. There's just no two ways about it. Myself and our head of school greet every student as they come through in the morning. In that fleeting interaction of 5, 10 seconds, you know, you can change a student's day in a heartbeat, and you kind of know deep down that you're shaping people's days, people's lives, which is a powerful thing to have at your disposal, but it's just really energizing most days. There are certainly days that I'm sure the three of us can talk about that are stressful, draining, and are tough, but it's incredibly rewarding.
Yeah, well, you took me right into one of the questions I was going to ask, which was what is the most rewarding part of your current position or of any of the positions you've had, maybe? Kelly, what would you say the most rewarding part of your career, your job is right now?
Well, I mean, it is the kids. Like that's my why. That's why I get up every day. You feel like a princess, like a celebrity. You know, you get to be the fun aunt. You get to come in. You get to, we tell each other we love each other. I mean, our staff members are telling each other we love each other. We're hugging. We're doing all the things, and it's um, you feel like you have purpose, right? But yeah, I walk into a classroom, I walk down the halls, and sometimes when I'm touring people or I have visitors, and you can't get 2 feet without being clustered with kids hugging and loving on you. You know, people go days without getting touched or even acknowledged, and you get that all day long. So yeah, that's absolutely, or they remember the stuff you talked about like at the beginning of the year and it's all the way to the end of the year. Remember that book you read, or remember you did this? And it's like, oh my gosh, it matters. Like, they care. And then I get to watch all my kids graduate, so I go to every single graduation. I took Charlie as a baby and in watching that whole thing. So that'll be her in a couple months.
Wow. Look, great. Great. Jayla.
Yeah, I might sound like a broken record too, but it's definitely just with the kids. Working with the kids, seeing their growth, especially it's something that you've seen them like when they were first had their struggles, and as time goes on and you see their growth, you're like, wow, I'm so proud of you. And it makes you, like what Kelly was saying, it makes you feel like you've had a purpose and you've done your job. But it's definitely rewarding just working with the kids, being there for them even sometimes, like what Ben was saying, you might not have the best days and you're walking on the hallway. They're like, "Good morning, Miss Dennis." And you're like, "Oh, well, good morning to you." Like it just feels rewarding that you know that they know that you care. And also I really like the staff at my school as well. Like we're all pretty close. You basically live at work if you're doing a 9 to 5. So you grow real big bonds with those people. And it's definitely just kind of we all treat each other like family. And so just the growth seeing with the kids, working with the kids, and my coworkers as well. Like we're serious, but we have good fun too at work.
Great. That's great. And Ben?
Yeah, it's definitely the kids, but I also, the other hat that I wear, I'm the varsity golf coach. So I've got all the middle school kids, but then I've got a cohort of kids that obviously I've had in the middle school, but then become 17, 18-year-olds, and I coach later on. And to see their growth, to have them reflect on memories and how they just develop into human beings is just amazing. And the other thing I'd add, you've got the kids, but when you supervise adults, there's something powerful about caring for them. They have lives, they have needs, they have families. Obviously, their job is to educate to the best of their ability the kids under their charge. But as an administrator or a supervisor, when you have those types of adults, there's just a lot of responsibility to respect them, treat them as best that you can and make sure they feel cared for. And when they do, I just think they love their work and will push harder and go to different heights for the kids in the school.
Great to hear. Great to hear. I'm going to kind of flip it and sort of ask about what kinds of things are really stressful about your job, or things that are not so great about the career that you have. Anything that you wish you could change, maybe. Um, Kelly, what do you think? That is,
Well, I think one thing that's hard and is the compassion fatigue. Like that's real because you're taking on the kids and all the things they're going through, and they share a lot. And you're just like Ben said, like you're taking and your staff is your family, right? So if one of their family members died or they're sick, it's like your family. So that is hard. I mean, I wouldn't trade it, right? But the one thing I think a lot of us maybe are facing is it's just a different generation with the support from parents, right? We're the kind of the enemy now, and so when you're trying to, correct behavior or you bring up concerns about a kiddo, it's not the kiddo's fault. The parent puts it back on the teacher, or so you feel like you have to protect your teachers, and you see this happening, but the parents aren't able to work with you on it. They're fighting you on it, and so then the kid's sitting there flailing, or the behavior is being enabled, and we're not fixing anything. We're not helping them.
no, I can appreciate that is really hard because that's part of, that's such an important part of success for kids, is that relationship between the kids, the teachers, and the home life. And if they're not all on the same page, then I appreciate that can get incredibly frustrating.
Yeah. And technology and social media. That's another thing I wish I could just get out of there. It's really shaped our kids in a negative way, for sure.
I'm not gonna share that one. I hear you. Jayla, how about for you? What is challenging about your job?
I think I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what Kelly was saying. I feel like as times are changing and the way that the kids are growing up, there's different parenting styles with social media, technology. I think it's influencing, and I'm sure there's maybe data to base it, but I think it's influencing some behaviors. So like on like our end, speech pathologists, our diagnosticians, everybody is starting to get a lot more referrals than what we used to have maybe like 5 years ago. And so we're just kind of balancing not being burnt out because now we have like double the caseload than what we used to have. And so I think it's just balancing the caseload and like I believe so I have two elementary schools and I feel like there probably should be two psychs at each elementary school. And I'm sure Kelly thinks probably the same thing, like two counselors. And so just balancing the caseload, and that's just kind of one of the concerns that I have is that it keeps increasing, but how is the way that we can balance it out, or will they adjust criteria and just kind of dealing um, with some of the parents sometimes would be one of the struggles.
Yeah, so being stretched pretty thin, needing to clone yourself, clone a few of you. All right. How about you, Ben?
Yeah, Jayla and Kelly nailed several different things that I would certainly echo. The one thing that's really challenging right now, and I think it's probably over the last 5 to 10 years, is um, I think there's a license at different parts of our society and country to fight and to battle with decisions at the school level with people that are doing the best they can and trying to instill right and wrong in students. And it becomes extremely difficult to have to relitigate issues, whether it's with parents or other people. It just takes a lot of effort, and it's certainly stressful when you know deep in your heart that you're doing the best and the right thing for a student. But I just feel like there's probably more questioning and more at times overt displeasure with certain things than maybe there was 5, 10 years ago. And maybe that's social media related or whatever it is, but it's certainly a challenge.
Yeah. And it sounds like and that it feeds in for all of you in terms of if you've got parents that are, or if you've got parents that are being really negative towards or expressing their displeasure about teachers, it's going to have an effect on you because, like you said, being a family. Um, let's see. I'm wondering, how is your current position or your current job different from what you had expected? We always often have a view of what we think it's going to be, and then we see what the reality is. What's similar? What's different? Kelly?
Well, I think about when I was a classroom teacher, and like even a classroom teacher, you go into it thinking, oh, I do this, this, and this, but it's like a million times more work than you think it would be, right? And your day doesn't end at 3:45 when the kids leave. You're working at night, you're working weekends. I think that was just a misconception. Um, but yeah, this job that I'm in now, my principal always say, well, what do you need to let go of? Like you can't let go of anything or everything is going to fall, right? And it seems like there's more and more things that are needed. And again, I guess that's with every profession, but there's always need for change and there's always need for like keeping up and being, on top of things. Um, and I never feel comfortable, like I know I'm an expert in this field. And I'm sure, again, everybody feels that way, but you're constantly have to learn and change and adjust. And it's not, again, where you just clock in, clock out, and you're done like lots of other professions. They get paid a lot more money than you think you would get, which is frustrating too. So that would be mine. Thank you.
Yeah. Jayla? What's different? What's different than you expected, or what's similar to what you expected?
So, you go to school and they teach you the best practice for everything, which they're supposed to, and you're supposed to have that on your mind and when you like report right and things like that. But in the school setting, there's things that happen every single day. So you just kind of have to, like what Kelly was saying, just always be comfortable with adjusting. Um, I've really had to learn to not take things to heart if like somebody might disagree with me about certain things. Um, I think I think when I was in school, I thought I would have time to do like X, Y, and Z, but some days I'll just be able to do X, or some days I think I'm gonna report right, and I might be dealing with a crisis response all day or something like that. So I think it's just really adjusting to the situation, and you still always want to still do best practices and the things that were taught at school, but it might not always be like that, which is okay though.
Yeah. So it sounds like that flexibility is so important. And to know that, yeah, there are times for best practices and then there are times for you got to get it done. And
Yeah,
message,
you
yeah,
just gotta you have deadline.
exactly. All right. Ben?
Yeah, what I would say is as a leader, it tests you every day. The thing that I didn't anticipate was I just think you've got to constantly work on knowing yourself, what things are going to upset you, what are going to energize you, what kind of mood are you bringing in on a particular day. And once you've done that kind of piece in work around self-knowledge, can you control yourself in moments that are energized or stressful? It just requires a lot of thinking, a lot of reflection, and also understanding how you wind down and can decompress. I just think if you don't have those knowledge bases, that you continually make the same mistakes over and over, and you don't really know why.
Mm. So really important to have time even though it's a job that you can't unplug at 3:45, have to figure out a way to take that step back and to do some reflection at some point so that you can reflect and learn. That's really good. That's really helpful. So I'm wondering so you all were in our students, shoes, a few years ago, as far as we all know. What is, what do you have advice? Like, what is advice that you wish you would have received when you were, a sophomore, junior, or senior at ASU? What do you think, Kelly?
Um, Well, because I've done so many twists and turns with what I've been doing, I guess just understanding the amount of work I would need to be doing, like, and how to balance like a healthy lifestyle because um you just don't know what it's like. I did student teaching. We did, internships and all those things, but you just go and the teacher kind of like, has everything under control. But until you like get in the field and you see what it is, you don't really understand like how much it consumes you. So I think, and I don't know, maybe things have changed, like how to have self-care and how to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. I don't know how to do that. And I'm 48 years old, right? So building some of those healthier skills when you're in college to take care of yourself better so that you can help others and have healthy boundaries.
I think that's really great advice. And I think that's something that I know I hear from students of not knowing how to take care of themselves and but to start thinking about that and working on that earlier is really important. That's great. Thank you. Jayla.
I would say it's something that I kind of learned towards the end of my stay at ASU, but I wish I just started doing it from freshman year. Really just get to know different people and like network. You never know where other people might end up or if you guys can use each other or help each other out in like your different career paths. Also, I would say like volunteer, take that like part-time job. If there's anything that you think that you're slightly interested in, I would say just try it just to make sure it's something that you actually like. Like for me, I tried something and I realized I actually didn't like it. And I would have never known if I didn't try it. So I'll definitely say, like, if you think that you want to work with kids or there's an age group, like find a volunteer with that age group or something like that. Or if you think you want to do a research lab or whatever the interest may be. Also, I would say it's been some years since I've been at ASU, but ASU has a lot of resources that I feel like I didn't know till the end. I know they had like resume building that I did. I used my psych advisor a lot. I asked her a lot of questions, and she was really the one that helped me discover like school psychology. So I made like an appointment with her, got close with her. So I would just say use all the resources you can while you still have them, and definitely like network and volunteer with other people and kind of get out of your comfort zone. Like if you're kind of uncomfortable, you're probably doing something right because you're exploring different things.
That is great advice. All pieces of that, Jayla. That's fantastic. Of trying different things, of connecting with other people. And by the way, I hate the word. I know that networking is so important. And if you want to know what networking really is, it's about being curious. Just being curious about people and being curious and chatting with your faculty, with your advisors, with your classmates. The person who's sitting next to you in your class may be the next like inventor of Google kind of thing, right? That you may meet people, but it's really about just being genuinely curious. And that's anybody who tells you that network is something different, they're wrong. That's really what it is. All right, wonderful. Ben, advice. What advice do you wish you had received back when you were this
It's
age?
hard. It's hard to follow those two. Those were
I know.
outstanding. I don't. This is something I wish I knew as an undergrad, and I work on today. I wish I would have been where my feet were, meaning I was always chasing what was the graduate program I wanted to do, or what was I going to do career wise, and maybe wasn't in the moment as good as I probably could have been in terms of enjoying like really digging deep in whether it was classes or chats with professors or whatever it is. I was always trying to achieve and kind of get a little bit further ahead, which, obviously, yeah, I'm really happy with where I am. But if I had to go back, it would be to slow down a little bit and stay in the moment.